Hey guys, so I wanted to demonstrate what some different slip stitches look like. The first one that we're going to do is a slip stitch knitwise. This is with the yarn in the back. So you are going to keep your yarn in the back like normal. You're going to go in as though you were to knit this stitch, but instead of knitting it, you're just going to pull it off onto the right needle. What this does is it twists the stitch. So you want to make sure that if it says to do that, then you're doing the right thing. But if it says to do a slip stitch purlwise, you want to make sure that you actually do it in the purlwise direction, or you're going to end up with a twisted stitch. If your yarn says to slip one stitch knitwise with yarn in the front, you're going to move your working yarn to the front of the work. You're going to go in, grab that first stitch knitwise, slip it off the needle, and then move your yarn to the back of your work, and you can then continue knitting from there. A slip stitch purlwise with the yarn in the back will keep your stitch facing the same direction, and you won't knit it, so it'll essentially it'll just become a little longer on the next row when you do knit it. So the way that this is done is you, instead of going in from the knit side, you go in from the top. So you go from top to bottom, you grab that stitch and you pull it over without knitting it. So one more time, you go in from the top to the bottom and pull it over without knitting it. The other way to do a slipped purl stitch is with the yarn in the front. So if you are doing a slip stitch purlwise with yarn in the front, you're going to move your yarn to the front of the work. You are then going to slip that stitch purlwise, so from top to bottom, and then you're going to move your yarn to the back of the work. So say your next step is then to knit a stitch. You will knit a stitch, and then it's another slip stitch. You move your yarn back to the front of the work, slip that stitch purlwise, move your yarn to the back of the work, knit a stitch, yarn back to the front of the work, slip a stitch purlwise, yarn to the back of the work. So you just want to remember that you have to move your yarn to the front before you do that slip stitch, and then after you slip it, you move your yarn back to the back of the work to continue knitting.